All right, this is a group running basics workshop for the Team Focus 2024 boot camp for group leveling. Uh, I'm Patches, and we will be discussing your portal and your responsibility. Thank you all for attending in person, and those of you that are watching the recording, please enjoy. If you have any questions, please hold them until the end. We will discuss everything at the end, and any specific queries that you all have, we can cover and figure out what needs to happen in what specific situation. But for right now, let's go ahead and begin. So, basic table of contents. We're going to discuss when to portal and why you would possibly ever need a portal. How can you mess up your portals? How to fix that portal that you just messed up. We'll go over a handful of guidelines for trial portals, progression portals, a handful of examples, and then we'll close off the discussion with a question and answer time. So, when is a portal needed? When anyone else in the party needs your objective, that's when a portal's needed. So we have setups for swirl chains, we have setups for trial completions, we have quest progression and quest items. All of these are possible reasons that someone would need you to put a portal down so they can come to where you're at. TLDR, when you need the rest of the party to get somewhere where you've already been there, that's when you need a portal. How can you mess up your portal? So here on the right, we have three of our wonderful focus members who are leveling in a party. We have our marauder there on the right, who has just made a mistake and has deleted their portal. Well, how'd they do it? There's a couple common ways that you can end up messing up your portal. Uh, for those people who are unfamiliar with group running, one of the most common ways that you'll make a mistake is logging out. Logging out is almost entirely banned in group play, but there are a few rare exceptions to that. The reason that it's banned is because portals are finite, and logging out deletes your portal. Another common mistake is replacing your portal. You just set up a portal at a trial, and then you went to go farm a zone. Your inventory is full, and you need to go back to town. Well, putting down that portal just deleted your previous portal, and you no longer have trial set up. People are not going to be able to get their trial completion unless somebody fixes it. One of the more rare situations, but still common during early practice runs, is a zone timing out. What can end up happening is there's a duration of time that passes, everybody's busy, everybody's forgotten about taking that one specific portal with that one quest item or that one trial, and they just haven't gotten to it yet. And the zone times out. That portal and that zone are gone forever, and that entire piece will need to be rerun. The last one is one that is easily fixable, but it can be a expensive mistake in certain situations. It can also be the thing that you want to do in other situations, but taking your own portal from town. So these are just a handful of common mistakes that you can make with portals during group runs. Why would you not want to mess up? Because there's a cost to replacing a portal. Uh, Least of which is not having a portal scroll. In some situations, while you're leveling up and you're cruising right along, and you're in Act 2, you may not have a portal scroll to actually replace that portal with, and things get really spicy at that point. Another thing is time and XP. One of the biggest things about group running is properly managing your time and getting enough XP in order to stay on level, in order for you to support the rest of your group, find items, run forward, kill bosses for your group, whatever it is that you're doing, you need XP to do it. If you're spending time, you are not XPing, and if you're not XPing, you're not going to keep up. So replacing a portal can cause you some issues there. Another reason that there might be a cost to replacing a portal is progression. If for some reason your group has depended upon you for that specific progression point and it's gone, then everyone's progression is gated. And that means someone else might not make it to a good farming zone. Someone else might not be able to push forward. Whatever that is, it can have cascading effects on the rest of the run. So, we've already messed up a portal. Let's go through a few options for fixing that mistake. So, option number one is rerun your zone. And once you get back to where you were, go ahead and set up a new portal. This is going to cost you time. Hopefully it's in a zone that has acceptable XP, and you can do so quickly without actually causing too many issues for your group, and you have a portal in your inventory. It's important that all of those things are done, because otherwise, like mentioned, you're going to run into some cascading issues later down the run. Separate option for fixing a messed up portal is what we have listed here as option 2. You walk into your previously portaled zone, let's say Valrunes, and you were in Northern Forest, and for some reason you lost that portal that was at the ball. You walk back into Valrunes through Northern Forest, and you have a free player swirl to you. What'll end up happening is that free player is taken to the old portal location. So that snapshotted portal that was in that zone, that player is teleported right to that point. And they'll be able to then replace the portal that was there. It's a nice, easy way to fix it if you have the availability of a different player in order to support you. But keep in mind, this may be faster for you in particular, but it is now costing multiple people. So now you have 2 people, and that player is no longer free to have a portal up. That player could not have another objective set up. It may sound like the better option in a lot of situations, but there's always a cost. So let's talk about some basic guidelines. Trial portals are fairly simple. Make sure that everyone takes your trial. If you set it up, it's your portal, it's your responsibility. Everyone in the group cannot miss that trial. If you have to say it 3 separate times, if you have to watch people walk into the zone, you're looking at the little bar on the left that says everyone's names and their locations. If you have to tell that person that you've seen in docs to make sure that they go take Catacombs trial 4 different times, you got to do it. Your portal, your responsibility. Positioning. You always want the portal to be close, but not too close. Don't be toxic. Don't set a portal so close to the trial little pedestal there that they have to be pixel perfect op aim kind of player that can hit that 2 pixel corner in order to not hit the portal. Another thing that you need to make sure is that people swirling into the trial are safe. I have an example here of a portal that is the complete opposite of safe, where a player in one of our runs, I'm not going to mention any names, this totally was not me who put this portal down, did not kill the rare who was standing on top of the trial. And then we had multiple people swirl into this trial later, and we had some interesting things happen to those players. We can see here a nice mana donut rare who was left behind for someone. This is the complete opposite of a safe portal into a trial. make sure you are positioning it appropriately. One other thing for trial portals, it's a great way to pass links, resources. You drop that 3 blue wand, it's a goat's horn, very first trial comes up, but you can't use it. You're not using a wand, you're using a bow this run, whatever it is. But your buddy wants that wand and hasn't gone to the trial yet. Well, you can drop that wand or other resources such as transmutes, alterations, currency, whatever it is, for link. If the person that is going to that trial has not yet visited it and you're there before them, you can drop resources on the ground and tell them, hey, I've got this item. It's going on the ground at the trial. Make sure to come pick it up. But you have to communicate it. If you just drop someone's forelink on the ground and expect them to pick it up when they're on their way through, you just deleted that forelink. It's gone forever. Real quick, we're gonna also touch on progression portals. So one of the biggest things that needs to happen is progression during the acts. All of your group members are going to at some point be progressing forward, and there's certain things that you have to confirm before you go forward. So before you run any zone, it's a very simple thing to do, but you need to make sure that you have enough portal scrolls to do the task that you're about to do. As newer group runners, you are going to find that inventory management gets a little more tenuous now that you're running at a faster pace. So it's always best when somebody assigns you a task or when you assign a task to someone, just make sure they have enough portals or make sure you have enough portals in order to do that task. If you already have an existing portal, let's say you have something set up for a trial and you're asked to run forward, you need to make sure that that gets replaced or used in its entirety. So you can ask someone, hey, I see you're farming, go take my trial right now. I need you to replace that portal because I'm running forward now. If there's some reason that your portal cannot be replaced, I don't know what situation this would be in, but if there's a reason your portal cannot be replaced by anyone else, you need to decline the running responsibility and that needs to move off to someone else. We're going to touch on boss fights as well. So, a nice rule of thumb is, did you have to enter a door or portal immediately before the fight? If so, don't put a portal down. You tag the boss, you call for swirls, and then immediately after the fight, it's your responsibility to put a portal down and get everyone out of that zone appropriately. If you've brought people into a zone, it is your responsibility to get them out of that zone. Quick note, make sure that if there's some sort of progression item that drops from the boss or from a nearby location, that you're not putting your progression portal to leave right on top of that item. Sometimes people don't have the best click accuracy, and it's all right to have the portal a full leap slam away. It just needs to be nearby. If you didn't immediately have some sort of door or portal before you zoned in, set down a portal nearby, tag the boss, and call people in for swirls. Lastly, item progression, very, very simple. Portal next to the item, pick it up, move on with your life. GG easy. Make sure everyone gets it. It's your responsibility. Whatever that item is, whether it's banner, whatever this item is that you put a portal down for, people need to pick it up, and it's your responsibility to make sure they do. We're going to touch on some examples now. So let's go with a nice basic bandit chain. Uh, all of you have been through at least one or two runs that we've seen so far. So all of you have experienced a bandit chain, whether or not it's gone well or whether or not there's been room for improvement. You've all experienced it at this point. So before the bandits, you're basically running down to your bandit, you put a portal down, and you go back to a farming zone. You go back through your portal, you leave it there, you're right next to that bandit. So then you've done your farming, you've gone through the rest of it, and the leader calls, hey, it's time for your bandit. Well, you walk over to your portal, and you take it from town. Now, you load in. First thing you should notice, your portal's gone. There's no longer that nice pretty animation. And this kind of goes back to what we discussed earlier with fixing the portal, is there's a snapshot for people to swirl into based upon the last location of a portal. So you don't have to open a new one just yet. Go ahead, talk to your bandit, get the help or kill options, and at that point, the bandit is tagged for 1 player HP. You could go ahead, call in others. Everybody hits kill. After all the players are in the zone, you kill the bandit, and then, again, it's your responsibility. You brought everyone into the zone, you get them out. Go ahead and portal out immediately after that. After the bandits, this is mostly an Alira thing. There is a situation where somebody will need to help Alira or somebody wasn't available in order to kill Alira and they need a new zone. It is the responsibility of that person, or the leader may assign someone else, but this is something that needs to happen, is a new zone will need to be set up and a new portal will need to be set nearby to Alira if someone is helping her. In the future, if for some reason one of the new bandits becomes the meta in order to take, that won't just be Alira, that'll be possibly other things. Also, after you've done your bandit, you now know, hey, I should check my portal count. We could have future needs. Our last example here is going to be our reliquary chain. So before reliquary, our player 0 is assigned to reliquary setup. This player needs a minimum of 4 portal scrolls, and they're going to run from Rune Square waypoint until they're adjacent with the rooftops entrance. At that point, they're going to leave a portal here, and that's portal number 1. They're going to leave a portal here for whoever's killing Kitava, and they're going to continue along along their way to reliquary. Once they're inside reliquary, player 0 is going to go ahead, walk towards the first item. As soon as they get there, they're going to portal and they'll call player 1 to swirl to them. At that point, they've set their portal down at the first item. Player 1 is on their way. They're going to start running towards the second item. Player 1 shows up. They're going to replace the portal at the first item, pick it up, and go return to farming, vendoring, picking up quest items, whatever it is that they need to do in that moment, they can go do that at that point. Player 0 has arrived at the second item, and they're going to go ahead and put down their portal at the second item. This takes that first portal, the one that player 1 set their portal right next to, and it deletes it and creates a new version at the second item. Player 0 then calls in player 2. Player 2 begins swirling in, and player 0 runs towards the third item in reliquary. At this point, player 2 arrives, they put down a portal, same exact kind of situation as player 1. They pick up the item, and then they return to farming, vendoring, quests, whatever it is that they need to do. And now player 0 has arrived at the third item. They arrive at that third item, they put down their portal. Player 0 has now picked up all 3 of the items within reliquary, and there are now 3 portals within reliquary that take people to precisely where they need to be in order to pick up those quest items. Now, after reliquary, player 0 has a handful of responsibilities still. So they need to communicate to the group the names of all of the players for reliquary items, make sure that everyone has the reliquary items and the staff before that person who is running Kitava kills Kitava. So if you remember, back before we got to reliquary, we put a portal down right next to the rooftops entrance. That player has been running to Kitava and killing Kitava during this duration. Now you need to make sure everyone has the necessary quest items and quest state and gets all these additional pieces from reliquary in order to make sure that everybody has anything they need to progress further and that nobody has to come back in the future. Lastly, player 0 needs to ensure that whoever ran Kitava gets these 3 items before they enter Act 6. The quest will brick and they will not be able to complete it, and you would have to rerun the entirety of reliquary before you'd be able to have the skill point from that. So you want that Kitava runner to go back, and it's player 0's responsibility as the person who set up these 3 portals. So to wrap it up, appendix, yeah, no appendix for this one. Nice, simple. As we said, it's a basics workshop. We wanted to keep this one nice and clean. Thank you all for your time. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and open the floor up to questions and open forum discussion. For those of you joining us on YouTube, we appreciate your time. Any questions that you have, go ahead and put them down in the comments below, and we will try to answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you all.
Hi, Patches. Quick question. If you can go back to the one, the common mistake slide, and then the slide right after it. So is there any of the common mistakes where you wouldn't be able to do certain of the options on the next slide, where you have option 1, option 2 for how you fix? For example, maybe like anything that you like, can you do either of those options with zone timeouts or?
So, for an example, option 2 is not an option if your zone is timed out, if that's where you're headed. So the zone cannot be deleted if you are trying to do this option where you're snapshotting where the previous portal was. Do you have another example that you're looking for?
No, that answers the question primarily, but if there's any others that came to mind, that would also be fine. Then I believe there was one question in chat that I saw earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry, I definitely was not looking at chat. Should probably open that up, huh?
Yeah, I can just ask it.
Yeah, let's do it. Go ahead.
Just for the Meligaro map boss, what's the appropriate place to put that portal? Is it like outside the boss room or inside? Like I know you're trying to keep people safe. I just know I
So,
ran it and I didn't know where to put it.
yeah, what you do is right outside the boss room door is you can put that portal down there. Essentially, you don't want people dying when they come in if somebody accidentally moves or anything to that effect. You just want to avoid that entirely. So you put it down just outside the door, and then when the boss is dead, they can just walk and grab their quest item at that point.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Thanks.
Alternatively, it is possible to put it in the boss room, but you have to notify the group that they cannot move on enter. and you have to kill it during grace period. So
Gotcha.
those are your two options, but communicate effectively. The outside is easier, but inside is going to be a bit like a fix if you need to do it.
Also, special thanks to Jaren for this banger of a meme. Really enjoyed it. Again, this was intended to be a basics workshop. Hopefully, everybody is feeling fairly confident and knows what we're talking about and at least has a better understanding of things that they can do in order to fix basic mistakes. If anybody has any additional questions, feel free to let me know. But I want to thank everyone for their time, and I'll go ahead and leave the floor open for a couple more minutes.